We're essentially learning the great Torah of Rabbi Nachman of Breslov. And essentially what we see is that the main idea in this Torah is how to be loyal, good Chassidim. How we could be good Chassidim. The Siyat D'Shai. Also, how we doing over there? Mamish in the game?
We're checking we're in the game.
Shkoyach. So let's just go in. Ali de shemasmichen Rabbi she'ena hogan. Ali de ze nechlash ksav Yisrael ve'en lo shum toikif ve'noisden koyach b'ksav yodam. It takes Rav Moshe Feinstein's Torahs, which should be so powerful, which should have such a tokef, and then it gives power to something else, to something that's other. In other words, we could see this very rationally, where if a person would have such a thing, where he's giving energy to other, he's taking it away from Rav Moshe Feinstein. What other tzaddik could we mention? The Baba Sali. If the Baba Sali mentions something, is that for sure?
Yes.
That's for sure. The Baba Sali's words. Very chashuv. So, if somehow we're not giving vision to the Baba Sali, if somehow we're seeing that the Baba Sali's Torah is not, and we're appointing somebody else in a position of leadership, and it's like we're taking down the words of the Baba Sali and we're putting the other person's words higher up, which is not a good idea. It's not a good thing. So through appointing those that are not positive, that's not a good idea. Ve'al yidei zehem goizrin shelo yeh tokef l'ksavim shelanu ki im l'ksavim shelahem v'yisra yumuchrachim lilmay ksav shelahem. Here Rabbi says an interesting thing. He says we're going to be forced to be listening to the ksav shelahem. What's the ksav shelahem? The ksav shelahem means we're going to be forced to give power to all those that are not healthy leaders. Their voice is going to get very, very loud. Their voice is going to have 1 zillion people on X, on their accounts. So their voices are going to get very, very loud. And Rav Moshe Feinstein's voice is going to be quieter. If we start appointing leadership and giving them energy and giving them a place, then we're lessening the value of the Baba Sali. So says the Rebbe. Then he says something amazing, and we invite friends of ours around the world that if they want to ask questions, we invite them to share and ask on these teachings of the holy Reb Nachman. Share your thoughts, share your feelings. We are with you, and we want to know your feelings and your thoughts on the great, great Torah of Reb Nachman. So now Reb Nachman says something unbelievable. Va'al yedei zeh goizrin gam kein legarish b'nei Yisrael mimekoyim ha'yishuv shenisyashvu sham Yisrael kvar. If this thing happens, that we start giving power to not healthy leadership, it has a way of kicking the Jewish people out of their homeland. And that's an interesting idea, because Hashem said, I want that there should be a little place in the world called Eretz Yisrael that should go and be a home for the Jewish people. Other nations can also live with us in peace here, but this will be a place that the Jewish people will be able to do special mitzvahs that are given in the Torah, Truma, Meiser, Orla, Shemitah. This will be a place that you will be able to reach the great stature of being true lights unto the nations. This will be the place that you'll build the Beis HaMikdash, which will be Ki Beisi Beis Tefillah Yikar L'Kol Ha'amim, that the Beis HaMikdash will be a place of prayer for all the nations of the world. And Bizrat Hashem that will have such a place. And years later, we were kicked out, we were exiled. First through Nebuchadnezzar, and then we came back with Ezra and Nehemiah, and then we were kicked out again, exiled again, with the Roman exile, and we're starting to come home. We're starting to come home. But really, our ability to be here, and this is, I would say, a very, very powerful point, is really only in our ability that we're aligning with healthy leadership. If we're aligning with healthy leadership, then we'll have this schus of being here. But if we're aligning with leadership that's not so healthy, that are not positive leadership, then it looks like it pushes us out of the land. Yes, Yosef.
So I know that we should be wary of state-appointed leaders, but when it comes to, like, I guess, people picking their own leaders, there's often this muscle that's used of the doctor versus the candy salesman, as far as who the masses would rather listen to. Like, the doctor's going to tell you, like, you're going to have to cut candy out of your diet. It's not healthy for you. You're going to have to start exercising and doing things that are hard for you and not easy and things you might not want to do. Whereas the candy salesman is just going to give you candy, which is sweet, but, you know, it doesn't take too much effort to eat. So too, when it comes to certain teachers, like some people might like, oh, don't learn any halacha, don't take any musar, just here's all like the mystical teachings. Whereas some people, I guess, might not prefer hearing from a rabbi who gives them heavy musar. And
the main thing that we have to pay attention to is the idea that we're coming from a transmission of leadership, and that transmission of leadership is authentic. And yes, sometimes our Rabbanim have to give us things that are not so pleasant, but they know that it's going to help us grow. It's not always so pleasant to hear something like that. If the candy salesman is just giving you candy all day, it might seem good for the moment, but it's not going to be so good for your teeth, and probably not good for the rest of your body. So we have to look deeper. I'm not sure if doctors, we'll call it healer. Some level of healer, I'm not giving medical advice here. It's some level of someone who really is here to help build you up in a real way. And it might be challenging. Yes, there might be things that are challenging. But the leadership that we're looking for is real. And they have leadership that comes back and goes back and goes back all the way to Moshe Rabbeinu and Har Sinai. And some connection of us being in this land is that there is a level that we have earned it. That we have earned it for real.
I guess my question is, like, I understand that they should be a part of the Masorah and have real yichus, but, like, who should be appointing these leaders if not the state and if not the people? Because the people, I don't know if could be trusted to pick the best leaders, because usually when it comes to democracy...
So really what we have is that the people that we can... Moshe Rabbeinu, everybody knew he's the tzaddik. So everybody saw that Moshe said that Yoshua is a tzaddik. Joshua is a tzaddik. And that Joshua... Everybody knew it was a tzaddik from Moshe. When he's appointing the next series of leadership, so the leaders, everybody knows, came from leaders that were accepted. Once you have consensus, like the Roshi always says, the Gedolei Hador are not appointed positions. Everybody just knows. Moshe Feinstein didn't need somebody, there was no vote. Okay, let's vote on who the greatest rabbi in the world is. There's no vote. Everybody knows that Moshe is the tzaddik. Rav Moshe Feinstein is the tzaddik. Everybody saw that, it's clear. So too, there's an awareness and an intelligence that we see who those who are true leaders are. And Rav Nachman's teaching us how to guide that we could find who are not positive leaders. And that by identifying who are not positive leaders, that's going to help us, that we should be in Eretz Yisrael. So says Rabbi Nachman, if we are not connecting to the real tzaddikim, what could happen? We'll be pushed away. El mekoymes shaloi hayesham Yisrael ma'olam, shezeu bechinas girish me'eretz Yisrael. This is an idea of being kicked out. Ki b'mokum she Yisrael yoshvim sham mekfar hu bechinas Eretz Yisrael. Umegarshen oisam el mokum midmar shmama she'ein sham shum kedusha. There's such a thing of being put to the four corners of the earth. V'kol zeh garm alidei shemasmichen Rabbi she'ein hagam. By identifying with not healthy leadership, this is going to be a big topic. We're going to get more into this topic. By identifying with not healthy leadership, it's not a good idea. And it has impacts. It has not good impacts. Hey, gam ali dezen nilkach memenu soid ha'ibr v'nimsa lehem chas v'shalom. Okay, this is an amazing line. If we align with not healthy, positive leadership, something about the secret, sod ha'ibur, something about this secret that we have and we've been given, this secret is then given into the wrong hands. Does this sound familiar to anybody, the idea of a secret that's been given into the wrong hands?
Kabbalah.
Kabbalah?
Passed down Shabbat Tzvi.
That's for sure. Shabbat Tzvi Yimach Shemo.
Kabbalah Center.
It's important to pay attention. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. That when Hashem created the world, Bereshis bar Elokim Eisa Shamayim ve'Eisa Aretz, and God is creating heaven and earth. Aretz haisa soy vavoy, and everything is empty. Choshech al pnei tahoim, v'ruach Elokim merachefes al pnei hamayim, and the spirit of Mashiach is hovering on the waters. And Hashem says, V'yom Elokim yihi or, let there be light, vayihi or, v'ra, and Hashem saw that the or was good, the light was good. It's a good light. What did Hashem do with that light? So it says that Hashem took that light and He hid that light. The Or Haganuz. He hid that light. And He hid that light for the tzaddikim, Lasad Lavai, when Mashiach comes, that the great light, the Or Haganuz, will be hidden away. It says, where did He hide it? In the Torah. It was Nignaz b'Torah. He hid it in the Torah. Why did Hashem hide this light? So we are taught, because if the evil people would get a hold of this light, it would not be good. This is a light that let us look from one end of the world to the other. It was a light that let you look into the soul of a human being. It let you see into the future. So this light, what do you think the Baba Sali would do with this light?
Only good.
Which he did. Only good. Help human beings. Build up humanity. Fight the forces of darkness. The Baba Sali would use this light, and he had this light. It says that tzaddikim have this light. He had this light. What would people, if that light fell into the wrong hands? You could look into human beings. You could look into people.
Manipulate.
That's not a good thing. We want to share that we are opening up also for questions from the Chevra around the world. People have questions. Please feel free to share. It's interesting. I want to say thank you to Kenneth for asking a question. Can non-Jews learn Kabbalah? So we're speaking about this light. This light really is the secrets of Kabbalah. So Kenneth, the answer is like this. If by Kabbalah you mean, as the name implies, to receive from God, to be connected to God in an intimate way, to be connected, to be a receiver, Kabbalah, to receive a relationship, then yes, of course. Of course it's for all humanity. To receive, to be connected to God. If by Kabbalah you mean that, I'll use a few fancy things, and then I'll shoot some fireballs out from here, and then I'll walk on water, I'll do a few little fancy tricks, then the answer is, that's not even things that we're really involved in. So the idea of Kabbalah is something that it's very, very powerful material, and I think it's been given a bad name. And really what Kabbalah is, and I think this is an important point, what is Kabbalah? Because I think it's been so misunderstood. Judaism is not a religion, it's a relationship. It's a relationship. It's a relationship that we're here to bring the the entire world into a relationship with God. That's our mission. We're here to bring humanity into relationship with God. If a person has a relationship with, let's say, his taxi driver, he picks him up faithfully every day, and he drives him to his destination. So, I hope in that relationship that you schmooze about things, you talk about things, you're able to open up to each other about, ideas, thoughts, life a little bit, especially if you're driving with him every day in the taxi. But what about the relationship that you have with, the guy that you meet by the gyro stand? Is that how you say it? Gyro? The gyro stand, It's like a shawarma, a gyro.
Yeah, I guess tomato. I've heard both.
Okay. That guy at the gyro stand, I don't know if the first thing you ask the guy at the gyro stand is like, can you tell me the deepest secrets about like your inner world? It's like, buddy, I'm just trying to serve some gyros here, like next in line. Like, I don't know if this is what this relationship is all about. I serve up gyros, like that's about it. So you realize there's like differences in that relationship. Your taxi driver, you could talk more about, especially if you're faithful to your taxi driver. You go with your taxi driver, you have daily rides with your taxi driver. But I hope that the depth of the relationship with your child is deeper than your taxi driver. I hope that a father and a son can open up more about life, can have more intimate relationship. And I hope that a husband and wife can have even more intimate connection, deeper relationship. So too the Torah. The Torah that God gave us has basic points, has basic level relationship, so to speak, like you and the gyro guy. Like, yes, I expect you to do this, and you have to pay for the transaction of the gyro. But then there's deeper levels of Torah. There's the level of your taxi driver. Then there's the level of your child. Then there's the level of an intimate relationship. So Kenneth, what Kabbalah is just the most intimate relationship of Torah. Is going, and there's no end to that. So a person who really says, I want this relationship. So as long as he's following the boundaries of the relationship, he's really coming into the relationship in a healthy way. So you could advance. If you really want to advance in more mature ways, then we could talk about how far a person could go. 7 mitzvahs was given to humanity to help them be the most successful partners with God in this relationship. If you feel you want more mitzvahs, there are 613 mitzvahs that was given because the Jewish people said we want more in the relationship. But somebody who has 7 is a totally, deeply connected human being to God. And we celebrate you, and I would love to meet you. And that's so important to know that each person where they're at can have a real deep connection to God. And that we believe in that, and that God is for all of humanity, and all of us are here to have this relationship with God. Yes, Yosef.
I've got 2 questions. One, when you say like it's the job of the Jewish people to help humanity with their relationship with God, is our role more of like a shadchan, like a matchmaker, or like a marriage counselor?
I like the question.
I like the analogy.
I like the analogy. Shadchan is very important. Is that if people didn't know that they can have a relationship with God, or people are still involved in different paganistic ideas, God forbid, then yes, we could introduce you to God. We want to give power back to the people. I want to help the people realize that where I'm at in my life, can have a relationship with God. If you mean by a marriage counselor that you want guidance along the way, then we're happy to help provide guidance along the way. So yes, it's both.
And then my second question is, why would someone with no Yiras Hashem, no Yiras Shamayim, be interested in learning Kabbalah? Like someone who's interested in knowingly doing averos and not keeping halal.
So I think the idea is this is what we mentioned, that some people think that what Kabbalah is like just magic tricks. And therefore, usually the people that don't have much Yiras Shamayim, they're not in awe of a God reality. They're happy to do some cool party tricks. So you go to the party, and everyone's like doing their thing, and you think, no. And Mr. Blaine's pretty impressive, but watch this, and you pull some Kabbalah out, so there's an excitement to do that, and that's not what its life is all about. David Blaine is very impressive, but to say that we're going to manipulate and use God's names just to show something impressive, we're not into that. We're not into that. We're not into that. We're not into just magic tricks. So B'ezrat Hashem, it's very, very important to appreciate this. Okay, my friends. So let's continue.
What's an example of
A magic trick? A Kabbalistic magic trick? Disappearing.
Huh?
Levitating, floating. You want to learn them, don't you?
It's not real.
So the question is, you want some Kabbalistic magic trick? The question is, why do you want that? What are you going to get out of just floating? It's cool. If you tell me that you want to go save somebody, you want to go...
Nobody.
There's different circles. Or mind manipulation. How about that? These are things that we don't play games with practical Kabbalah. We're not into cool things. We're into being connected to God. And like we mentioned, that Kabbalah means the deepest relationship with God. There's a dear friend here who's pointing out that he had a nightmare and he called out to God. He called out, as he says, to Hashem. And then Hashem came. Hashem came. Should you look into this dream? I think it's very interesting, my dear friend and my dear brother, that we all come from the one God. We all come from the one God. It's very important to know that. I feel that it's interesting that you're describing that you called out to Hashem. And I'd be happy to speak and to learn more about this, about a connection to God. It's all the one God. It may be that something is awakening inside of you to look deeper into this idea that I'm calling out to Hashem, which is Hebrew, the name, and to learn more about God's names, and what it means to connect, and that God, just like I have a name, Moshe Chaim, so that my name, you connect to me through my name. You don't say, hey, you. It's like, say, if you're in a room of people, you're like, hey, you. So everyone's like, me? Yeah, you. Who's you? Oh, Yankel over there. Oh, Yankel. If I just say you, I'm not... And if I lived on a deserted island, I wouldn't even need a name. Who needs a name when you're on a deserted island? So Hashem said, you're not alone. I have names. I have names that you could connect to me through my names. And if you do that, you're connecting to me. It's a way that there's a relationship. And by saying my names, you could draw me towards you. And I have different names that reveal different ways of connecting to me through those different names. I have names that help you connect to me through kindness. I have names that help you connect to me through compassion. I have names that help you connect to me through the way that I run the world, through justice. If you feel that you want more justice to be served in your life, and therefore, my friend, I would suggest to feel and talk to God about this feeling and look into what it means, God's names. And feels clear to me that God is talking to you to have a deeper relationship and expand and look deeper into this relationship. Yeah?
So just to conceptually try to grasp this idea of relating to God through the Shemos, through his different names. My dad, his name's Adam, but I call him Dad, and we've got a very close relationship, Baruch Hashem. But I would never call him Adam, but I would also never like play around with his name and like come up with different spellings. Like Dad is the name I call him, and we have a very close relationship because I call him Dad. I think he'd be offended if I called him Adam.
You're not supposed to. You're supposed to see him.
Mr. Stern or something like this.
Dad, Abba, Tati is the way that I'm connecting. That's also a name. Tati is implying that he's my father.
But
that's a very important thing.
I think he would find it weird if I started like playing around with like the spelling of his names or like, I guess like calling him anything else.
So Hashem is different. Hashem says that I have names and there's special ways that I want you to know that you could relate to me through these different names. Because these different names are ways that I relate to the world. These are names of mine that I'm using to relate to the world. I'm relating to the world in different ways. It would almost be like if a person's father was, let's say, the head of the police force. So that now he's revealing himself as a cop in a certain way, that he has an energy of cop.
Officer Smith.
Yeah, officer. Or he is the CEO of a big company. So now he has a name of a boss and he runs. So it's all Dad, but he can express in different ways. So it's all Hashem. It's all God, but God is relating to us in different ways. And he says, you can find me in the way that I've given names and I could relate to the world in different ways.
But let's say hypothetically my dad were to become a police officer. I would never call him officer.
Because you go back to the source. That's why the highest level, many people say, just say, Tati. Just go right to the fact, you're my father, my king. Avinu Malkeinu. And that it supersedes all the names. It goes above the names. It goes above the names mamish.
Is this calling him Tati?
Tati. So one of the points that we're mentioning now is being very careful with different Kabbalistic points. And that realizing that if we don't align with healthy leadership, then what happens? It somehow takes secrets and it starts to allow them to be exposed in the wrong hands.
And then we get kicked out of Israel.
And we have problems with being in our home. Because we're aligning, we're giving power to leadership that's not connected to source material. It's not connected to the source.
Can we ever get kicked out of the Makom, the Beis Hashem?
We're always, we always have the ability to be with God. But Hashem said that I gave a home for you here. And therefore we have a responsibility. If we want to essentially earn our home here, it means that we have to align with healthy leadership. Nam's going to go a lot more into this concept. So he goes on about this. Alidation is Garshin Yisrael Mimokom Ayishuv. Sheyoshvu Sham Yisrael Mikfar Alideh Ze Ein Yecholim Lahoylin Neshamas Gedolos. That is fascinating. Through not being in our home, it makes some problem with having holy souls come into the world. Now this is obviously very deep stuff. You need to go ask, a real tzaddik about what's going on here. Ki haneshamas hagedolos ein nolden ki im b'mokum sheYisrael yoshvu sham mikfar shu bechinas Eretz Yisrael. And this is the world of Eretz Yisrael. Zion. Kishachochem haroi l'smicha nismach b'shem Rabbi. So now what happens if we have holy leadership and we're giving smicha to people that are good? And we're really saying, I think the world would be a better place if Rav Moshe Feinstein was running everything. And the Baba Sali ran the government. And David HaMelech was the prime minister, the king. And we're saying that I want leadership to be in the hands of Rashi. Wouldn't that be nice? The Rambam. The Rambam. It wouldn't that be nice if Trump said, you know what, I want the head of all of medical association to be run by the Rambam.
Firing Fauci, hiring the Rambam.
That the Rambam should mamish run things. Talk about authentic leadership. Talk about one of the most refined human beings ever to walk the earth. Maimonides. I encourage everybody around the world, look up the greatness of Maimonides. The Rambam. The ultimate greatest Jew ever, perhaps. I'm not, it's not baseball cards here. But you understand, we're talking about such a perfected saint.
Codified the entire Torah.
Codified all of Torah. An authority at the highest level, with refinedness, with a refined character traits, through and through, and that it went over to his kids, that his children are holy. Could you imagine if the Rambam was here running, government? That's next level.
Yeah, I was about to say, it just kind of reminds me of
One of the questions that we're asked in heaven is Tzipisi Yeshua. We should all live for 120 years.
Amen.
But we're asked the question when we get up to heaven, did you anticipate the Geula? Did you anticipate Mashiach coming? So one of the things that we're going to be asked is, did you see it happening? Did you start imagining the unfolding of Mashiach coming? Did you start seeing that government will be run by totally righteous, holy people? Could you imagine the Rambam running government? Making partnerships in government, just organized, King David himself.
Ministers. We got Shlomo Malach is the minister of
The Baba Sali, minister of religion, and it's amazing. How about a dream team cabinet? Secretary of this. It's amazing. It's amazing. The Baal Shem Tov. Head of transportation.
Wagons.
The back of the wagon. You have to start imagining this, my friends. This is what it's all about. Imagining this, seeing this. There's going to be a resurrection of the dead. You have to know, you have to imagine this. Mama Rachel, the great matriarch, Rachel coming out of the ground, walking, Mama Rachel, walking the earth once again. Start imagining this. Family members getting up from the ground. It's a very important thing to see this, to connect to this. Tzipisi Yeshua. So when we do appoint a Chacham, Haroy L'Smicha, and we make him Rabbi, Ali Dezemevi Ha'ar V'Koyach B'Ksav Yodenu. When you have real holy leadership, what happens? The writings of Rav Moshe Feinstein become powerful again. The Lubavitcher Rebbe's writings become powerful again. We start seeing that the Ksav, we're going to see a lot more about this in Lakutei Cafe. We're going to see the Ksav. We're going to see holy writings starting to gain power again. I think this is also happening in the world, that people are starting to see that Torah is something powerful. They're starting to pay attention, but at the same time there's this, there's a lot of energy on other Ksav, on other Ksav, other writings. And it seems that the responsibility is with us. The responsibility is with us. Are we really, it's coming back to Emunas Chacham. Are we really going back to healthy leadership? Ches. Now look at this. Ali de Ksav Yisrael Niskadesh Ha'avar B'Bechinas Avir de Eretz Yisrael. When we can write holy letters and holy words, something about the words jump off the page and start purifying the metaphysical, purifying the air around us, and it turns it into like a pocket of Eretz Yisrael.
When we study Torah,
When we write holy words of Torah, it spreads and it creates, it's called Avira Da'aretz. Avira Da'aretz Yisrael is machkim, it says. It says just breathing in the air of Eretz Yisrael makes a person wise. It's machkim. Which sounds like also that you can create this energy anywhere around the world. You could have somebody sitting somewhere in, I don't know, Papua New Guinea, and he starts writing some Divrei Torah, and all of a sudden he's like transported to Israel. He feels. And it's amazing. I'm always amazed to hear, and I'm happy all the Chevra to share, people from all over the world feeling like there's an arousal. They're awakening to something calling them. Some words of Torah. Something that's speaking to their soul. And something is waking up. When they get into Holy Ksav, something starts happening. Something starts happening. What's happening is that they're starting to breathe in the air of Eretz Yisrael. They're breathing in the land. They're sitting somewhere in Budapak and they're tasting Eretz Yisrael. As long as they're connected to the Ksav.
It's like your own Chidushim and everything.
Yes, we're going to get into Chidushim. Yes. That's why it's very important. We very much encourage people, write holy Chidushim. Write your holy words. Write your holy words that you're being inspired by holy tzaddikim. We're going to learn in this Torah that it's not just like follow orders from it's not like a robotic thing. It's that when you're connected to the source, it inspires you to start writing holy words. I would advise people around the world, advise all of us, I'm talking to myself, write down your Chidushei Torah, write down your words. Write your words down, journal, write holy words down. Write, feel, connect. It's very, very important. Hashem is waiting for your words to be seen. Tess, and we'll finish with this, my dear friends. Al de pegam emunas chachamim, through making blemishes and connecting to the real tzaddikim, to the real leaders. Ali de ze ein loy eitza shlema la'olam. If a person can't connect to the tzaddikim, he feels lost in this world. He feels, I don't know where to go. How many people around the world feel lost? I just don't know where to go. I don't know where to go. I speak to people all the time that say, I'm in some, I got a job, I got something, but I just don't know where I'm going. I work some 9 to 5 or whatever. Nowadays there's no 9 to 5. You don't stop working. You just all the time. You're working and working and working. And it's interesting that one of the ways that Pharaoh enslaved the Jewish people in Mitzrayim is that the ancient Jewish slavery of Egypt. And by the way, the Jewish people are not like, we can't get over this thing. What's that called? What's that?
Victim mentality.
The victim, there's another word for it. It's like holding on to repercussions, reparations, and we'll never get over the Egyptian slavery. That's not what this is about. This is about the idea that God can remove shackles from a soul and that we are in our essence free people. This is not about they owe us, reparations, and that's not a victim at all. Nothing about that. The whole reason why we talk about the Egyptian slavery a lot is to remind us that we're never slaves. We were unlocked in our essence from slavery. Our soul is unlocked. That's right. And that's why I mentioned this, and I think it's a very important thing to point out a phenomenon. How could it be that a Jew is dancing in some concentration camp and some Nazi Yamach Shemo says, and again, this is not a victim of the Nazi thing either. Oh, the victim is not about that. This is about pointing out what happened when we left Mitzrayim. That how is that Jew dancing? And the Nazi says, what are you dancing about, Jew? He says, Simchas Torah, I'm dancing. It's the holiday. He says, I could just shoot you right now. And the Jew looks him square in the eye and says, you can't touch my soul.
Didn't that
You
happen?
think that you own me?
Didn't that
I'm a
happen-
free man. God unlocked my soul when we left Mitzrayim, when we left Egypt. We're forever free. That is our amazing connection to leaving Mitzrayim. It's so relevant. It's so relevant to 2025 right now that we are never in shackles. You're never in shackles to your job. You're never in shackles to this situation. You're never in shackles to your depression. You're never in shackles to this, I can't get out of this thing, to your, I'm swimming in debt. You can get out of everything. Mamish, everything. Everything. We are never in our essence shackled. That's such a teaching. So back to Egypt. What was Pharaoh's push? Pharaoh's push was, we're going to make them so busy, they never have time to think that they're even slaves. We're going to work them so hard, they never have time to even think that they're slaves. The people that I talk to, they say, Rebbe, I'm so busy, I can't even see another life outside of my corporate situation. I can't even, it's like, yes, you can, you could break out of it. You could find God.
Don't forget a really great one. Like we got this kind of like called out of talk. You know, it's time. It sounds specific. However it is, like you need to see yourself.
Yes.
Once you see yourself, that's how it's time. Once you really see yourself,
you're out. You can get out. You can get out of anything. You can get out of anything. There's nothing that could shackle you there.
Isn't it true that the Tasha Rebbe in Simchas Torah was dancing when the camps and was dancing as if he had the Torah with him, even though he wasn't allowed to have a Torah?
What happened in the leaving of Egypt was our soul became unlocked, that no situation ever can shackle us, that we are in our essence free. And therefore, if we ever feel like something challenging is upon us, it's never in our essence. It's only external. You can get out of anything. My dear friends, it's a pleasure. Looking forward. We'll continue tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. All the